How to choose the best podcast hosting platform for 2025 and beyond. This is a We Don't Play podcast show, and you are welcome to the place where you listen, you live, you learn, and you earn information that will help you grow and scale, which eventually should be able to monetize your business as a brand. Because I believe when you have a brand, you have value, and the value should appreciate over time, meaning that even if people didn't recognize the brand, that should not devalue the value of the brand. So the brand should be valued based on the interactions, the efforts, the investments, the assets, and all the things that you're doing. So as a business, one of the things that you have to think of as an asset is, what am I using my business for? Who am I serving? Why am I serving them? And where are they listening to me from? And if you can understand where they're coming from and where they're going to, then using a podcast is going to be the best way for you to really understand how to build and scale that business. So I'm happy that you're here today, because this is some things that we're going to really dive a little deeper into. And we're going to ask you, the business owner, and then you could ask yourself this question, right? What am I doing with my business that's helping me make the best outcome or the best experience? And if you can't answer that question, then there's going to be a problem down the line, because it's not going to be easy for you to start seeing things until you start understanding the way things work. So that's why I want to bring this to you today and help you understand it. So as you're all coming in, thank you for being here. Alexandra, Emran, Nadia, Domingo, Frank, Mild Bill, thank you for being here. Diego, you're all welcome to the room, and more people are going to be coming into the room today. So feel free to share the room out. If you have any questions, I'm here. We're going to make this happen. It's going to be exciting, and I'm really looking forward to you just learning something new, because I feel like if you understand what you're doing with the information that you have, then you can make better decisions with the things you need, right? You have things happen. So we want to make things happen in a good way. So if any of you have any questions, or you feel like, okay, Favour, maybe I need to do a little bit more of some research, or I need help. If you need marketing help, if you need marketing services, if you need SEO services, if you need digital marketing services, if you just want to know what's going on, just to pick my brain for 30 minutes and ask the questions that are burning, that are also affecting your bottom line, this is a great time to sign up. So click the link above and choose the option, and then you'll be redirected to book a call with me, schedule it, and then after that, you'll have access to my digital business card. So you're going to see three things happen. You're going to see an email come through, then you're going to have a calendar scheduled, and you're also going to have a business card so that you can connect with me personally. And then that way we can work on how your business can grow, and we can help you scale, because podcasting is one of the most effective ways to show your brand online. I feel like if you use podcasting, you actually bring your brand to life. When you watch a TV show, when you listen to the radio, when you read a magazine, when you listen to a podcast, and you hear brands and you see brands and you feel brands. You can even go to a baseball game. You could go to a basketball game. You could go to a football game. And you're seeing these brands on the stands. You're seeing them alive. They're by the posts, they're by the billboards. You're actually looking at them. These brands are alive. And the reason why they're alive is because they're alive and it's part of your lifestyle. So when you're looking at these brands are alive, and you're not just seeing them, you're hearing about them. Other people are talking about them. And the more people talk about the brands that they like, the more people listen, and the more people try to experience or find out more information about what they want to experience that they haven't. So podcasting is where this big play comes to mind. And there are things to look out for when you have a podcast, because not every platform is going to tell you what they have or what they don't have, right? And I've been pretty much debunking brands where you're able to see the different, kind of like the price and the cost. So if you're able to demystify it and say, okay, maybe decoding this means that, and then this happens to me this way, and then something else happens that way, then it's because of the cause and effect of what you decided to create based on the platform you're in. So whatever you're experiencing is because of the brand you're affiliated with. If you're on MailChimp, that's because you're affiliated with MailChimp servers. If you're with Flowdesk, that means you're affiliated with Flowdesk servers, which is also connected to Amazon. So when you start knowing where you are and how you're spending your time, your money, your energy, it's different. Some people say, oh, how do I start a podcast? You start buying all the microphones, all the headphones, all the cameras. And I'm like, you've not produced one show and you yet your budget is already over $3,000. How? Why? Who told you to do that? And it's not something that is wrong. It's just not the right time. There's a time for everything, right? So people don't have to spend thousands of dollars to start a podcast. My first episode was literally a Instagram replay that I took off the Instagram app and turned it into a podcast for my first episode in 2019. So I could have used a voice memo. I could have used my microphone on my phone. I didn't have to buy it. And I came from a musical background. So I already have a microphone. I already have a sound box. I already have Adobe. I already have my musical elements because music is music and podcast is talk. So I already had the elements to make the recording possible. So I wasn't thinking too far about like gadgets. But even if I didn't have those gadgets, I wouldn't have spent money to have started a podcast. I'd have started it the way I already did. That's why I said, yo, let me just I wouldn't even start my own podcast with a microphone. Let me start from scratch. Let me start from the bottom. Let me like understand this thing. Some people say, oh, no, I got to get this together. I got to have this, boom, 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 down pat. Great. Go you. That's fine. But for me, I want to connect. I don't want to impress. I want to connect. So if I'm connecting and you can feel the connection, if there's no power in your house, you're not going to see the power because there's no connection. You're going to feel the power when you can see things bright and you're looking at things because there's power that's dominating and illuminating the room. So when you're looking at your business and you're looking at platforms to understand why am I even here? What platform am I using? And is it helping me or is it hurting me? It's going to either help or hurt. And most times we don't know what's hurting us until we realize, oh, okay, we need to fix this because you're aware. You weren't aware. It's not that it wasn't hurting. You were just not aware of the pain. It's kind of like when you feel pain and you get a cut and you don't feel it. And then in the morning you feel it. The first thing in the morning, it feels so painful. It's because you can feel it. It's not like it wasn't there. It was, but you didn't understand the velocity or the depth or even you just didn't get it. But now you have, and you're like, now there's something to pay attention to. I got to put a band-aid. I got to put things on. I got to do first aid because now I have to pay attention to what I'm looking at. It's the same thing with your business. You don't know what's leaking until things start happening. Subscription fees, late fees, recurring fees, unwanted fees. It's just crazy. You don't know these things until they happen. So we want to really talk about this and jump into it. So speaking of podcasting, John, good morning. How are you? Welcome to the room. Happy Thursday. And also congratulations to your sister for starting her podcast yesterday.
Yeah. And by the way, it's something that she's been talking about for a while, and it goes hand in hand with her business. But this podcast is a little bit different. So it's called The Inner Estate. And you'll see the link to the Apple podcast version in the chat. And she launched the YouTube's videos on it a while ago. We're in the process of doing Apple, a bunch of other ones. And it's hosted by Libsyn. So check it out, and you just might find out how to improve your situation with what you got already. And it's subtle changes. Oftentimes, it's not the big changes; it's the subtle ones that make all the difference in the world.
That's amazing, John. Wow. Shout out to your sister. This is big because I feel like when you hear new podcasts, it's a beautiful thing because when you hear a new product, it's like a new house. I don't know if y'all feel the same way I do. It's like a new car because it's like, wow, okay, what can we do with this? every day you're getting to learn something new about it. And the more you're loving on it, it's like a child too. Like you get your first baby, your second baby, you're loving on them, and you're just growing to learn and understand what are you looking at, what are you feeling. It's the same thing with your website. It's the same thing with your business. It's the same thing with your podcast. It's the same thing with your content. You want people to feel like, oh wow, they actually still resonate with my content 2 years from now. 3 years ago, people are still tapping in. That's a big deal because that means that whatever you're giving people is not bound by time. So when you're thinking about content that is not bound or put in a position where it feels like, okay, I can't detach or I can't reattach or I can't unlearn, then that's a problem. So you're using creativity to build innovation that is allowing people to find you through your brand. So when you're looking at content, you're also seeing it from a very specific point of view. And you mentioned Libsyn, John. Was there a process on how you chose Libsyn, or is that what she chose? How was the process to decide what podcast
Well,
hosting platform?
the very first one she wanted to go with is one I was on for years, Omni Studio. However, they were very slow to respond to her. So rather than wait until they decided they would get back to her, and the big negative is they're based in Australia. So there's a huge time difference in the United States. And Libsyn she could do right away. But here's what I told her about. So whether you use Omni Studio, Libsyn, Spotify, or whatever they call it now, it used to be called Anchor. Your analytics, if you want to grow, are so important. Look at amount of countries are listening. And listen notes rate helps. Raphonic.com helps as well. But listen to how long people are listening. What kind of devices they're using. Are they on mobile? Are they on desktop? Whatever it might be. Those sort of things make all the difference in the world, especially if you want to grow. So Libsyn offered that. But the main reason why was because they were available and it was not the long delay that Omni Studio presented.
Thank you for this feedback. It's very important because there are different decisions, and when you make those executive decisions too, you got to stick with them because now when you move, it's going to be a lot of migrations. Like, oh, I just bought this house. Oh, I got to move in 2 years. Or I got to move in 5 years. You're like, oh, here we go again. And people don't like that. People want to be comfortable. People want to be conveniently connected to what they're accustomed to. So if you're accustomed to using Libsyn or Spotify for creators or Buzzsprout or any of the options that are out there, it's based on what you want. For me, what made me choose Spotify for creators when I started my podcast was because I was doing research. I just didn't start a podcast. I had to do the research, and I took a year because my podcast would be 7 years. Next month it's going to be 6 years next August on the 13th. But I took a year from 2018 through 2019. I was thinking about podcasting. I was like, how am I going to show up? Who am I going to talk to? What am I going to say? What is it going to be called? I took my time. People these days just start podcasts like it's popcorn. I mean, it's great. We have AI, you can, go away. But then you have to sit down and really ask yourself, what am I really going to do with this information? And then it's going to grow. And at some point, it's going to grow its own wings. And you have to let it fly. And when it flies, you have to also, it's kind of like when you watch Game of Thrones, and then now you see it's a whole dragon, and now you got to just let it fly. You have to think about it the same way with your business, that at some point, if it becomes an IPO, an initial public offering, within a 7-year timeline, potentially your business could grow. It could really take off. And you're like, this podcast is actually a thing. Okay. Now I could actually make it an intangible asset where I can turn it into a commodity that can be used as a business to scale my brand. And that way, that is PR internally because I can use that to identify solutions that my audience needs help with. So it starts to create everything into the play and starts to give you that information long term as well. George and Serena, I wanted to say welcome to Clubhouse. I'm seeing a lot of party hats today. Welcome to Clubhouse, and I'm glad you're here. Thank you for being house members, and I'm hoping that you're enjoying the marketing club. I know this is your first week, so feel free and feel connected. This is an international app, so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out or put it in the chat. We have amazing connections, and also we got some amazing guests as well. Thank you for being here, Audrey, Frank, as well as Mild Bill, thank you for being here. Please click the link at the very top where it says Marketing Club so you can cash in your ticket. So when you come in, you can now upgrade to the house member section and you can also be a part of, the great connections that we have here. Serena, good morning. I know it's an international app, so we'd love to hear from you. Where are you calling from? How'd you find the app? And how'd you find the room? Welcome to the space. And if you have a question about the topic of today, please ask.
Oh, hello. How are you? I'm recently operating from Bahrain and I have joined this app 3 days ago and it is good one, but still I'm exploring. Thank you so much for asking.
Thank you for being here all the way from Bahrain. Thank you for spending time with us today. Did you have a question about the room? And how did you find the room as well when you joined today?
Yeah, it is my first time I joined this room. I don't know much about it, but I am interested in business. That is why I have joined this room. I am listening. Today I will listen, and then I can tell you how I find this room.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for being here. It's always a pleasure to have you here. And anyone that's a guest, if you have any questions, please raise your hand, ask the question, and we'll be here to give you some good time here on Clubhouse. Clubhouse is a beautiful app. And also Serena, just to give you a quick tour, and also for George too, and anyone that's listening, because I know this app keeps growing. If you hit Marketing Club at the very top, on your phone, you're going to see three dots. When you hit those three dots, you'll also notice that it will show you the house settings. It will show you the how to share the house. When you scroll down, when you look along those lines, one of the options is listen to replays. So we have a lot of replays in the house, a lot. I mean, over 300 replays. I think I'm even underscoring it. But there's a lot of rooms that you can listen to on Clubhouse that I have done, and also other amazing hosts and moderators have done. So if you ever want to go back and listen to that, you can do that within the Marketing Club. And also that applies to any other house that's on the app.
Okay, thank you so much for this information. Okay, I will take that in mind.
You are welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for being here. ECMD, I see you in the chat. Thanks for being here. Good morning.
Let's
Entree,
go, baby.
what's
Let's
going
go.
down, bro? How you doing?
Chilling, chilling. What's the word? I actually want to know what the synopsis is. The best platform.
Man, I had a room about the best platform yesterday, best podcast hosting
Give me,
platforms, or bet,
give me your
yeah,
top. Give me your top three or two.
top three. You're gonna hear something different. Okay, here we go. This is my top three. I've been doing a lot of research this month.
Oh boy.
So, whew, Brad, this is gonna be a hot one. And I would start with number three. Number three, and I'm gonna put it in the chat so that we can all be on the same page because I want us to really like talk about this today. There's something called IAB Tech Lab. I've put it, it's a compliance program, and there are podcasts that have to, be compliant. I'm going deep into this. I just don't want to talk about fancy tools. I want to talk about tech, talk about AI, talk about monetization, talk about distribution, and show you exactly how this thing goes because not everybody tells you these things. So I want to really like dive deep because I'm a swimmer, so I'm gonna dive deep. So if you look at this, the number three for me, that when I look at the top three, and of course, you can choose another top three. So my top three is not the only top three, it's just my preference top three. When I'm looking at the top platforms that would really do well as a podcast, if you want to start, I would say number three, I'll go with Omni Studio, and I put the link in the chat. You'll see it there. And there's something called a standard version. So you're either in the 2.1 or the 2.2. Some platforms are in 2.1, some platforms are in 2.2. So 2.2 is the latest one. Libsyn is in 2.1. So you'll see it there when you look at like software upgrades and compliance. And it will also show you their certificates. When were they last certified? Like I'm just giving you the facts. So number three is going to be Omni Studio. That's going to be my third. Number two, it's a tough one. Number two is going to be, oh man, you're doing this to me, man. Number two is going to be Simplecast. I'll go with Simplecast. Simplecast, because Simplecast is also, they partnered up with SiriusXM. So when I hear SiriusXM, I'm hearing Pandora. When I hear Pandora, SiriusXM, I hear in-car listening. I hear in-app listening. So I'm not just looking at a podcast hosting platform. I'm looking at a podcast network. So I look at those things technically and I also see like, okay, do they have control systems? Can you have programmatic ads? These are very, very key factors to, consider as well. So when I look at that, I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Now, number one, which a lot of people may be actually shocked by, number one is Art 19, and it's by Amazon. A lot of people don't know about Art 19. I've been doing a deep research and I'm like, okay, these are the ones that these top companies don't tell you about. Yeah, there's Buzzsprout, there's Libsyn, there's Podbean, there's Spotify for creators, there's Megaphone. There are many of them, like there's Spreaker. So shout out to all of them. They're all amazing. Like anyone you pick, you're not wrong. The only difference is you're just gonna choose what you like. You like what you like. So, but for me, when I look at technical SEO, distribution, monetization, scaling, advertising, Art 19, it's by an Amazon company. That's what they say. Art 19, an Amazon company. And they're in 2.2. They fully focus on downloads, ad deliveries, client confirmed ad play, and also listenership too. And then when you look at metrics range from 2 to 4. So if you look at the metrics in the link I put in the chat, you'll see all the certificates. It also tells you when they were last certified and how they were certified, and it also gives you more information, based on what they're doing. So like, for example, Art 19, they were last certified 2024 December 23rd, meaning that by December 23rd this year they're going to have to renew their certification. Just like with your business, if you have a state of incorporated business, if your business is incorporated, then you know that every year you have to pay a fee. You have to pay to the state, where you've incorporated your business. So it's the same thing, just like with your website. If you have a website, it's due, your domain is due, you got to pay it. If your rent is due, if your mortgage is due, you got to pay it. So this is like the same, it's the same basics. So it's nothing new. It's just a different source. So that would be my top three. I don't know if you expected that top three.
That's what's happening. Shows I don't know nothing. I'm just playing. But yeah, definitely haven't heard of like two of those. So definitely a great list. But I'm not into podcasting just yet. But I only know the last one. She's like the main commercial ones. You mentioned the Buzzsprout and the da 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 da. But that's what's up, man. Definitely be looking into those thingy majiggies and doing some compare and analysis. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Appreciate you for spending time with us. Before we go to Hillary, I wanted to ask you, what are you seeing in the AI world right now? And don't complicate it because it's gonna go crazy. But just give us the little overview. Like, what's the summary? And then also, Serena, please mute your microphone as well, so that if you have anything in the background, it won't come into the room as well. Thank you.
Uh,
Andre, what's
yeah,
up?
I see some AI podcasts. I think those are trash. But as far as as far as hopefully that Amazon, they said they're going to start blocking videos, but I'm pretty sure they're going to start blocking all the BS, platforms when it comes to overloaded podcasts with AI. Just in general, as far as outside of the content creation of AI, I'm more of a systems, automation AI person, less than not the content creation side. But as far as I think having any kind of assets, digital assets, podcasts, books and courses and stuff like that, I think they have full AI, ecosystems that kind of market themselves now. They kind of take a lot less human effort to put it out there. So I do believe that if a human can come up with authentic products and then use AI to do more of the systematic marketing approach, they can get way ahead. But I see too many times it's actually backwards. They use the they use the AI to create the content, and then they use the human to do the marketing. Shit is backwards. But that's just what I see in general. So be authentic, then use the AI for systems and marketing, not use the AI and then try to be out here authentic marketing it.
Yo, you got me cracking up over here because it's true. And I mean, honestly, you can't blame them because there are no rules. There's no playbook, there's no manual. So if you don't know, you don't know. And if you know better, you do better. So it's really not your fault. But I'm happy you're trying it because 5, 10 years from now, there's no excuse. God willing, we're still here. There's no excuse because you have to know your numbers. You have to know your stats. You have to track stuff. You can't, if you don't track your finances, how do you account for things you're doing? Like, where do you know where to apply more pressure, less pressure? These are things that you should know as a business owner. So don't jump on these shiny tools because it's going to get very shiny that your eyes can actually go crazy and you don't want to have that. So there are platforms that you have to look at, and understand where you want to be. For example, I've talked to the CMO at Rome, ro.am. You can go to Rome, and I've really understood that Rome is the new Zoom. So a lot of people are thinking, what is Rome? And they've been here since 2020. You can check them on Product Hunt, you can check them on LinkedIn, check them out, Rome. And for the last few weeks, I've been having Zoom meetings with clients, and my laptop has been bugging to the point where one of our clients, he said he just upgraded his laptop and he has like a great machine, but when he turns on Zoom, it takes about like 40% of his CPU. I'm like, so it's not me. I thought my MacBook is not. I was like, okay, yeah, I know this can't be me because this is new. It's a new MacBook. So I was like, okay, Zoom, something's going on. And because of all these third-party apps and everything, it's eating up your space. So I was like, I gotta figure out a way to jump out of Zoom. And I found a platform called Roam. So I'll talk about it more. I don't want to go too deep into it, but it's called Roam. It literally does everything you want, including taking notes. You have inbox, you even have an AI that can represent you. You have an office, people can knock, you can put a passcode, you can create a gateway, a theater. It's really dope. And it's only for $18.88. Like, they're just crushing the system. So I'm going to put the link in the chat because I love giving you guys new information. Not that it's a shiny object, but I want you to know better. So when you think about things, everyone's doing Teams, Google Meet. Yeah, great places. But if businesses could just think futuristically a little bit, like the way we can, but we just don't, then we can really see beyond what we're doing. We can save more money. I want to help you save more money in business too. So that's why we really go deep into these tools as well. So thank you for that feedback, Andre, as well. Hillary, ladies first, wanted to come to you. How are you? Good morning. Any questions about the room, podcasting, marketing? Feel free. The floor is yours.
Good morning. I saw John, and of course, wanted to be in any room, any space he's in because I always get a lot of value. And thank you for adding me. I just added you back, and I'm going to follow you in your other networks as well. My question is, you mentioned a lot of podcasts there when you were giving your top three. What are the different price ranges? So I used to do blog talk, and then I went to radio. So I stopped doing radios right before COVID, actually. And I want to get back into doing basically exactly what we're doing on here, but in a podcast form. And I'm just like, I don't know what I'm hesitating for. I don't know what's stopping me. I just having that, like, everybody's got a podcast. But I don't know. I need to just muster. I need to get off my ass, and I need to just get back in and do it. And my son, who is now 16 or 15, about to be 16, also wanted to do a podcast, and I don't want to spend a hell of a lot of money on his experimenting with this genre. I don't want to have to, you know what I'm saying. So what are some low budget but still viable for monetization options?
Great question, Hillary. Okay, so I'm going to give you like a flip coin. So one side of the coin that I gave you is my top three on the platforms that you can monetize your podcast if you want to do it as a business, from if you want to actually invest in it. But if you want to start bootstrap, low budget, or even no budget, and you want to just hit the ground running and just start off and say, okay, let me see where this goes before I even invest or even put any money into it, then this would be my top three for you on the free side. Here we go. This is a great question. My top three for free platforms that you can use. Number three would be Spotify for Creators. Why? Because Spotify for Creators, they are not IAB compliant. And that's something that isn't very important, because if you're not in that database, then it's going to be hard for you to really scale. And what is IAB? Because I've talked about this before. IAB is Interactive Advertising Bureau, right? There's a bureau that focuses on advertising. There's a standard for advertising when you are showing your stats or showing, brands, businesses on, how much they've spent or how much you have as an episode. Or let's say your mid-roll is $2,000 a mid-roll, for example, and they're paying you for 30 episodes. What does that mean to their bottom line? How much is your audience? Can it match up? Or is it $20 or is it $200 per episode? So that's going to be determined based on the standard that you give within the bureau settings when you have a compliant platform that is tracking downloads and listens and demographics and all the stuff to allow you to also quantify and even justify your audience as a place to advertise with the brand. So that's on the paid side. But on the free side, Spotify for Creators, great. You can start it up for free. Go to creators.spotify.com. And when you start an account, it's free. Once you hit your first published episode, you get an RSS feed. An RSS feed stands for a really simple syndication feed, meaning that it's going to start tracking all the episodes that you upload. So anytime you hit publish on your hosting platform, it's going to go to all the directories. So there's a difference between a podcast hosting and podcast directory. Podcast directory is for consumers. Podcast hosting is for producers. So as a producer, if you're going to be on a podcast hosting, it's kind of like saying I have a radio station and I'm just hosting it. People are going to listen on their phones, in the car, on the radio, wherever they are, and they're tuned in. Now, the same thing applies with your podcast. So the directories now is Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Pandora, Angami, the rest of them are out there. So when you create your podcast, that RSS feed that you stem from your podcast hosting platform is what you're going to distribute to all these directories. You want to be on Apple? Submit to Apple. Submit your RSS to Stitcher. Submit your RSS to Castbox. Submit your RSS to iHeart. Submit your RSS to all these other platforms. When you start submitting your RSS feed, that's where distribution comes into play, because for your podcast to scale, you need to have wide distribution. A lot of reasons why businesses and podcasts fail is because podcasts don't maximize their distribution strategy. That's the missing link. If you're able to maximize your distribution strategy and be on as many podcast hosting platforms, or rather directories that you can be on, because you can be on other posting platforms. Let's say, just to give you an example, let me see. There are so many out there. Yeah, like episodes.fm. That's a platform that you can go to and you can type in your podcast and you see all the directories in the world that possibly could be on those platforms. And if you look at them and you submit to them, great. Now you're in the know-how. At least now you're able to, people can see you, they can hear you, they can remember that you're there, because not everybody listens to you on Apple or Spotify. And I've seen that because people from Spain reach out to me on LinkedIn and they say, hey, I listened to you through Castbox and I'm looking for Pinterest. And I'm like, Castbox, okay. uh, Different countries have different listener experiences. So it's not just Apple and Spotify, but when we just leave our podcast on those two, we're like kind of cutting ourselves short. First of all, the market share is really huge there. So for you to even be showing up on those two platforms, it needs to spread out to other platforms. It's like an SEO tactic. Just because you're on Google and Microsoft Bing doesn't mean you're going to be on ChatGPT. If you're on Yandex, if you're on DuckDuckGo, if you're on Brave, if you're on Yandex, if you're on Yext, you're on different platforms that are going to extend you so that
That
your
boy
signals
talking
are
spicy.
stronger. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be at a higher signal frequency so that the more you have distribution signals, anytime you hit publish, you have a stronger signal. There's something called an E equals MC squared that I've actually put together for a podcast. And if you go to Pod SEO, they have an E there. And I talked about it very welcome back, John. when you look at the E equals MC squared when it comes to podcasting, there are three things that you have to think about, right? And I'll give you number two and number one, because before I pass number three, I want you to see, where I'm going with this. There are three things to really think about as a podcast. One, you have to think about content optimization. What is content optimization? It means that every title, actually, let me start from the root file. From your file name, the name of your file in your local drive that says episode one dash the name dot mp3, that file name needs to be optimized. That's content. Then wherever you go, Adobe, Canva, Ideogram, AI, wherever you're going to get your picture from, that JPEG, PNG, or WebP extension file also needs to be content optimized. So when you've done it's like putting the bricks, like when you're building a house, you have the blueprint before you start actually building the foundation. So now you've built the foundation based on knowing that my file name is accurate. That means it's like your ID. If your ID is off or wrong, if it has a typo, it's going to have a lot of problems because you're not matching in the system. So that's the same thing to apply to your content. So everything, and why it's so important is because if you go to YouTube, for example, and you upload a video on YouTube, you can't rename that MP4 file after you've published it, because that has gone into the root directory of YouTube's file server to say that anything that people search for that is not matching this keyword is going to be off. And that just might be a problem because you're not matching. But if you've done research, then you'll know that if you're talking about mental health and you know what the biggest keyword phrasing is about mental health, then you can be able to use that key phrase to now elevate your brand so that if anyone's looking for anything within that mental health area or industry, your podcast or your episode or your title shows up because you're rooted from the file. It's like a tree. If the tree is standing, it's because the root is grounded. So when you're looking at your podcast, it starts from the ground up. So the ground up means that your signal has to have content that can be optimized for search signals, for chart signals. The second part is episode recency, right? What's your cadence? If you go to listennotes.com, it will tell you cadence, or you produce every 3 days, every 12 days, every 2 days, every other day. It will tell you because your recency allows people to connect. Imagine if you watch your favorite TV show and they were showing up every Tuesday and then they missed 3 Tuesdays in a row. You'll be like, what's going on here? So it's going to be a drop in reach, a drop in impressions, a drop in branding, a drop in PR, a drop in everything, because now your signals are low. That's the same thing with TV and radio. So it's the same thing with podcasting. Then the third one is publication consistency, meaning that what publications, what platforms, what third-party platforms are you consistently showing up on from your hosting platform? So everything is interconnected. You can't yin yang out of that. It has to be connected and interlinked so that when you have your podcast hosting platform showing up with show notes that have anchored text, hyperlinked text, hypertext markup language that tells them if you click here, it's going to take you to my LinkedIn. If you click here, it's going to take you to my website. If you click here, it's going to take you to my product. That way, those are signals that are going to go back to your Google Search Console because it's still SEO. Because when you go to SEO, go to your Google Search Console on the left, go down, you're going to hit something that says links. In those links, you're going to see referring links. So if you see apple.com, spotify.com, iheart.com, that's a good signal because that means that you have podcasts out there on different publications that have links back to your website, which you've been able to anchor through hypertext. And when you're able to look back at everything per episode that you release, think about it. 100 episodes in, 20 episodes in, you're doing better than the average because some people are just blanking out episodes without even knowing exactly who they're targeting. So if you're able to use these three things, it can help you really scale it up. That's why I put number 3 for Spotify for creators. Number 2 that I'm going to put for Spotify for creators, and I hope Hillary comes back as well. Number 2 for me is Libsyn. Right. Libsyn is a great platform. You can start off. You can start for free as well. And you can go to the paid if you want to. It's a great platform you can actually use. Then number 1 is Buzzsprout. If you want to really go out there, I believe, I'm not going to say what I don't know. I'm going to check it out first before I tell you guys because I think it is, but I want to just double check. Just want to double check so that you can also see that the platform does not matter. That's what I want to, give you insight on. The platform does not matter. Hold on. This is going to be very exciting to actually tell y'all. Let's see. I'm going to go into this search and then we're going to look at it from here. I'm excited about what I'm about to tell you guys, because if you look at these 3 platforms, any platform you pick, you'll be fine. Don't think too hard on these platforms, because it's not about the platform, it's about your optimization. And that can really take you a really long way as a business. So when you look at platforms and you're able to see that the platforms that you're hearing with ads have, programmatic ads, or the host is reading the ads, that's because they're on those platforms I mentioned the first time, like Simplecast. Like, for example, yeah, there we go. Like Mel Robbins is on Simplecast, right? Joe Rogan is on Megaphone, right? These are platforms that we know. I talked about some of them as well. So Megaphone is pretty much like the premium version of Spotify for creators. So even other platforms, I don't want to mention too many of them, but they are on these platforms that I've mentioned, right? Simplecast. So when you choose these platforms, you're asking yourself, okay, I want to be in the top 1,000. I want to be in the top 10. I want to be in top this or that. How do I use this? Now, let me even give you like a, a plot twist so that you can also see how different this could actually mean for you if you think of your business and you say, maybe this could actually work, right? Gary Vaynerchuk, right? Gary Vaynerchuk. We know about Gary Vaynerchuk. Shout out to him. He's literally, I mean, that's how I started my podcast, and he's loyal to it too. He started his podcast and he's been on his podcast, and he's still on his podcast within the Spotify for Creators hosting provider. So Gary V, that we all know, is on Spotify for Creators. It's a free platform. So why am I saying this? I've given you 3 huge platforms, right? Let me even show you Diary of Your CEO. Let me show you for that one too, so that you can see if, as a business, just ask yourself this question. These people are no different from us. We're all the same. We all have the ability to shine, and there's room for everyone. It's just to know exactly when you want to be. Yeah, Diary of Your CEO is on Megaphone. Yeah, they're on Megaphone. So if you're looking at your business and you ask yourself, okay, where do I want to be? You're not trying to hang with the Joneses. You want to stand out so that you can actually stand apart from the people who you want to compete with or even connect with, because podcasting is more of collaboration than competition. Because when you're on a platform and I'm talking about a topic and I come to your show and I talk about a topic, it's going to help. And before you know it, you're like, oh, wow, this is really cool. So your business is supposed to grow based on those connections. So if you look at these top 3 I've mentioned for paid and top 3 for free, at least one of them is going to help you scale. Just choose one. You don't have to use all of them. Just choose one. There's another one called Red Circle. Them, I don't know. Their commission rates are really iffy, but at the same time, that's their policy. So I'm like, I don't know. You guys have a 50-50 split, which is fair. Some people do that, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, if it's 50-50, then the threshold has to be higher. And that's the only exception that I will say, okay, maybe that could be making sense, because if you're making 20,000 and it's 50-50, fine, that makes sense. But if it's like a little bit, that's a little bit crazy too. So it just depends on the platforms you pick. That's why I'm like, hey, do your research. I'm giving you all these names. So when you hear anything that strikes or makes sense or like sounds like, maybe this could be the one, then go ahead and try it. It may not even be in my top 3 on either side, and you use it, fine. But do your research, check the notes, check the stats, and also know that these platforms that we're using, whether free or paid, will still get to the same destination. The only question that you have to answer is, what are you going to deliver, and who is going to listen, and who's going to stay? Because not everybody stays. So the ones who stay are the ones who stick to the end, and those are the ones that actually want to connect with you. So that was a great question, and I hope Hillary comes back. And I'm sure if she listens to the replay, I hope this helped you too. Ishman, thank you for being here. Good morning. You have a question, contribution, feel free. The floor is yours. Okay, Ishman, if you're around, let us know. Put it in the chat when you're back. John, we'd love to hear your top 3, if you have any.
I'm glad you did. So, and I agree with a lot of what you said. And she left. So here's the pricing structure on Omni Studio, and I was with them for a very, very long time. And I put them in the top 3. OmniStudio.com, that's spelled, I believe, with a Y, not an I. Number 1, they have a tremendous back end for running pre-rolls, whether it be you or client base, and it's Triton, Triton.com. Who owns Triton, which owns Omni Studio? iHeartMedia, the largest radio company in the United States, if not the world. So to get the first show is on average about $25, and then each additional show, which is very easy to add other shows, is $15 a month more. That'll give you, I think, a terabyte of transfer information, and then we go over that, they'll automatically bill you. So they've got great analytics. Number 2, SmartCast. Again, for the reasons that Favour mentioned, they're owned by SiriusXM, satellite radio. And I'm on the now BLEAV.com podcast network, and they use SmartCast. So they absorb all the monthly fees, which are not a lot to begin with. And their analytics are not as good as Omni Studio, but they're good. But where they really shine is they give a 70% commission based off pre-rolls, and they keep 30%, which is a lot more than Omni did. Then number 1, I would put, and this is nothing against you, Favour, I would put Libsyn because it's so easy to use and it's an industry standard. When you use, and they've got pretty good analytics. The main thing is all of them are going to do pretty much the same thing between the free ones and the paid ones. You're going to pay around $20 to $25 a month. That'll give you a lot of bells and whistles, a lot of things, just like web hosting is not a big deal. But it's really about, for me, it's about the analytics. If I want to monetize my show, I've got 2 choices: Omni Studio and SmartCast. And then I would say Libsyn for monetization. Other than that, that's the only 3 I know of. So, and there's a reason why they're owned by big radio conglomerates. And if you hear iHeart radio stations advertising podcasts, I can guarantee you they're on Omni Studio, the vast majority of them. Joe Rogan's show's Megaphone is owned by Spotify. Spotify owns his show. That's the reason why he's on Megaphone, because it's internal. They're not going to put their best show on someone else's network. Why would you? So this really is going to pay off. Look at who owns them and how easy it is for you to add shows. Once you get the hang of it, it becomes second nature and it's not a big deal.
Thank you so much, John, for breaking that down. You're right. It's like banks. If you know Navy Federal is TransUnion and other banks are another credit bureau, you're able to know how to move. You're able to know how these things work. It's the same thing. I look at these things, I'm like, okay, bingo. That just makes a lot of sense. I think I just have to put the yin and the yang together for it to make sense. Because when you start knowing these things, it becomes easier for you to apply business ethics, business tactics, business executive decisions, and they're not even highly cost effective for you to even think about, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, it's you just pay the $25 if you want to do that. There's a platform called Captivate. If you've never heard of it, Captivate.fm. It's more of a UK-based platform, just like Omni Studio is a Australia-based platform. So you can use these platforms and check it out and see. One of the things that you want to know, especially to the question of the room, how to choose the best hosting platform, how to choose the best podcast hosting platform. How do you choose these platforms? One of the things that you have to also think about, right? And most of them won't tell you this because it's already unlimited. But if it's not, if there's a limit, please check. If there's a limit, just ask them too. How are you going to know if they don't tell you? If you don't ask, they may not even say it. But how you're able to also look at this is check their storage. This is important. Check the podcast storage. There's no way to just type in how do you check the storage. Just look at the platforms and you just see, okay, how many podcasts are out there? Are they doing well? Are they paid? Some of them will give you some pricing. They'll tell you, okay, this costs this much, this costs that much. So you're able to really know exactly where your content will be. Now, think about the downloads limit as well, because some podcasts have a download limit. right? That's why when some platforms are free, they have a download limit, meaning that, and why is this important? A download limit limits your analytics. Let me just say this again. Your download limit limits your analytics. That's why platforms like Spotify are not going to give you 100% download access to your demographics because you're paying it for free. So why are they going to give you all the intellectual property when you're not paying it or investing back? It makes sense. Google, the same thing. Google Search Console, they'll only give you 1,000 rows, right? Yet Google has over 250 billion gigabytes worth of storage, and you're only getting a little tiny piece of the cake. And if you don't know a platform like SEO gets or Search Console audit, you wouldn't be able to know how to really mine your data and know exactly how to do these things. So I'm giving you this information so you can check it out, because you can get content, you can do what you want, use ChatGPT, but at the end of the day, you have to know these things. That's why it makes sense for you to move out of a platform like Spotify for creators and move to another platform. But that doesn't mean that it's not bad. It just means that you have a downloads limit. So a downloads limit means that you're just not going to see the full capacity or the full analytics, which is a pain, because you want to know who you're talking to. You want to know who you're connecting with. Imagine if you were talking to people that cannot reach you, or you can't reach them because you don't know them, or they know you, but you don't know them. That's going to be like that Spider-Man movie. Look at each other, pointing at each other. So you have to ask yourself, what do you really want to do as a business? And ask yourself, okay, downloads limit. Do they have unlimited downloads? When you see unlimited downloads, which most of them do, then don't worry about downloads limit. Because when you think about connecting those dots back to your analytics, to your stats, there's going to play a big role into that too. So make sure you're looking at those things, the downloads limit, check your storage, make sure that those podcasts are able, do they have multiple podcasts? Can you do one or more podcasts? Like Spotify for creators, you can have multiple shows for free. So if you want to do multiple shows, that's great. You can do it for free, different RSS feeds, different identities, different DNA records or DNS records for algorithm purposes, which is a domain name server, is going to serve different things. So if you have 3 podcasts and they talk about 3 different things and they're linking to the same website, okay, let's see how that goes. That could be a power, or it could be disempowering. It could be based on how you're able to see it. Or you could have 3 different stations, and then on those 3 different websites, they're linking back to each other. So either way you put it or either way you dice it, at the end of the day, the goal is to ensure that if you're thinking about a podcast to start your show on, ask yourself these questions. Do I want to invest, or do I want to bootstrap? If I want to invest, okay, these are the options. If I want to bootstrap, these are the options. So you have either way to play, and you can always hopscotch into either or whenever you're ready, but it depends on how you want to move and how you want to take action as well. So great conversation today. Mo, Dub, and Kerry in the room. I don't know who's available to speak first. If you're both available, Kerry, ladies first, please feel free. If you're not available, then Mo. So let's go. How we doing?
Hey, Favour, how are you? Nice to hear your voice. And I don't have anything to add, but I know you're the best in the biz. And I hope you're having a great summer.
Thank you, Kerry. Glad to have you here. Yes, I'm having a great summer, great time. It's been beautiful. Mom was in town. It was great. It's been a beautiful month. And I'm always excited in July because this is like the prequel to August, which is when, the podcast turns a new year. So I've been really contemplating about doing a 6-hour room on Clubhouse. Yeah, I said it. I want to do a 6-hour room on Clubhouse. I did a 5-hour room last year to celebrate 5 years, and this year I want to do 6 hours to celebrate 6 years. So I may be doing a 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. room, and that's going to be on the day of the actual. That's going to be a Wednesday. Yeah, it's a Wednesday. August 13th is a Wednesday. So I'm going to be doing a 6-hour room. Yeah, from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. to celebrate, but also at the same time to answer questions. It's going to be like a virtual work office hour day. So I'm going to open up that day so that, no clients, or there won't be a mix up in the calendar, because I like to plan ahead. So, Carrie, you brought that out of me today. I didn't want to say it yet, but now you did. So I'm glad that you asked that question about the summer. That's what I want to do. That's a big one for me.
Own it. Do it. I think you got to plan. I'm planning right now for the fall because I don't know. This month has been a little bit slower than normal, and we've had a lot of heat waves. So this is the time to start planning out your schedule and getting organized for sure.
100%, especially if you want to maximize the fourth quarter of the year into the first quarter of the new year. Definitely, this is going to be like your planting season. So, definitely, yeah, I'm excited about that. Thank you for being here, Carrie. Mo, what's going on? What you thinking about? Podcast, question, suggestion? What's on your mind?
It's funny you say that because I'm like 4 years overdue on my podcast and shit, right? So I've had like this Spotify for podcasts. I forgot what it was before it was Spotify, but I had it ever since then. And right, yeah, Anchor, right? And I've had it ever since then, and I've done nothing with it. So I'm here in a note taking capacity. I heard Omni Studios, and I forgot what was the other one after that, John. Was it podcasting or
Simple cast.
Simplecast or Simplecast, which was Smartcast or
Simple.
Simplecast, but check them out.
Forecast or Simplecast?
Yeah,
Okay,
Simplecast
let me
is
make
the
sure
name
I
of
get
it.
Simplecast.
Correct.
You
Yeah.
said simple. Okay, Simplecast. All right, so I'll just go ahead and Google that and bookmark their page right now to follow up. But yeah, I'm just here to learn, brother. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Mo. Appreciate you always. Ishman, are you here? We need to
Quick
check
question though.
in. Yeah, go
Which
ahead.
of those podcasts, what you call this, let you like pre-upload it and just set a date, or is that most
That's
of them?
all of them.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
gotcha. Shows how much I know. Huh?
No, that's a great question because it's very valid because when you're thinking about a podcast, you want to schedule. Just like Joe Rogan, I got to know that he schedules it every 5 p.m. I don't know if it's UTC time or sometime, maybe his own time, but when I see things change, like even Tony Robbins, he changed his artwork. I think it was 2 weeks ago. So I'm able to track these things and know, okay, this podcast is doing this. They changed their category, they changed their name. It's easy to tell when you're able to track things, when you're able to know, because it's the internet. But you have to also know where you stand. What category are you in? Are you ranking for a term? Are you ranking for a keyword? Are you ranking for a phrase? Are you ranking for a link? And these are signals that strengthen your business so that you have a wider podcast net when you have a distribution that is going beyond. And I just love, having guests on our show too, because whenever we have a guest on the show, it goes crazy. Like, for example, we had a guest, Steve. Shout out to Steve, Java Twist. We talked about it, and people on LinkedIn have responded. People have reached out to me. I haven't ordered mine, and I'm getting my package next week, because I want to support the brands that actually show up on the podcast. I want to pay for their brands. I want to spend money so that I can also, help them also know, yeah, it's not just a podcast episode. This is business. So when I see these things and I get it, I'm like, I'll do a video. I'll say, hey, here's my review. And then more people go back to that episode listening. And now some people asked me yesterday, hey, I would like to invest in that company. What do I do? So I'm getting requests on LinkedIn about a podcast that was done just yesterday, but it was recorded over a year ago. And now we're in season 11 and we're just rolling it out. So it just depends on how you want to schedule it, because any platform you pick out of any of these options, you can schedule them ahead. You can say, okay, I want this podcast to drop on January 1st, 2026, and it will drop that day, that time, that hour, that second that you published it or scheduled it. So there's really no rules. It just depends on what you want to do. Mo says, yo, what was the free audio cleanup tool you gave a while ago? Was it from Adobe? I didn't talk about it, but that's something that you can use. Adobe. I was just talking about, Adobe Audition, which used to be, I think, Cool Edit Pro, because I've been in the music industry for a long time. It's two
They don't
decades
know
now.
about that Adobe Audition.
You know what I'm saying? So I have the Adobe Creative Suite. So I have all the Adobe files, the Lightroom, Photoshop, Premiere Pro, Rush, animation. They're all there. So, but if you want to use podcasting, Adobe has a podcast enhancer. Let me see what it's called. It's called Adobe Podcast Enhancer. Let me see. Adobe. You can actually go to Adobe Express. Let me just say that real quick. You can go to Adobe Express, go to new.express.adobe.com. I know that's a long it's a long one, but there's something called Adobe Express that you can really see a lot of tools there. You can remove backgrounds, you can use 2D animations, you can turn your animations into characters. You can do a lot of things over there. So check it out, and then you can just type in Podcast Enhancer, Adobe, and that way you can now get the Adobe version, and enhance your content. There's a platform called Clean Voice AI. I don't know if you've heard of that, Entree. And if you haven't, I would love to hear your thoughts when you go do your research on them, because when it comes to AI, I'm sure you can really mine it. It's called Clean Voice, cleanvoice.ai. It literally cleans up your voice. So all the people who are saying, yeah, podcast is tough because I gotta record, I gotta edit. Yeah, take out that 4 hours and turn it into 10 minutes. Literally, it removes background noise, filler words, long silence, literally without having to worry about anything. And it's a credit system. So yeah, it's based on credit. So you pay as you go. So I'm giving you this information for free because when you listen, you live, you learn, and you earn, you have no excuse. So I'm empowering you to enjoy yourselves on the podcast and also choose wisely, because just transparently, I'm moving from Spotify for creators. I don't know where I'm going to go, but out of those top three I mentioned today, one of them is going to be the new platform.
I think I know which one it's going to be.
Huh. Okay. Do you want to
It's going to
guess?
be either. And my only knock on Omni Studio, and I still be with them, is the time delay, and they don't have immediate service. So for that reason, I think you're going to SmartCast. I mean, Simplecast. I always wanted to
He,
call it SmartCast. It's Simplecast.
he did say they give him unlimited for free.
Great guess. Great guess. So yeah, it's between my top two. It's between Simplecast and Art 19. Those are my two. I've already contacted both of them. So I already am on Simplecast. I'm there. I'm on Pandora. I'm on SiriusXM. The We Don't Play podcast show is there. It's now okay. It's time to monetize. It's time to change it. Red Circle has this extension where you can actually, if you're using like a Spotify for creators, you can sign up with them, and then they can now start ingesting ads into your platform. It's called Red Circle. I've been doing a lot of deep dive research. I feel like I've been in the deep ocean for a minute. So I just came out to tell you what's going on, and I'll go back into deep ocean. But if you have
No, here's one thing. I know that Favour will research stuff. That's why I listen to everything he says very carefully. But I want everyone to take note of this. And I'm just using an example. Right now, as we speak, there are 10-year-olds in Armenia. Their language is not English, and they are producing content, and they're knocking a snot out of people that overthink stuff because they put it out there. They use 11 Labs, they use all of those stuff. They use ChatGPT to translate it in English, and then load the scripts up, you name it. So, and that goes for the social media world, that goes for Facebook ads, that goes for podcasting. Right now, there are kids, and because the reason why they're doing it is they don't have a fallback, a plan B. Their idea of poverty and our idea of poverty are two different things. So if you want to change your world, stop overthinking and start getting busy.
100%.
Yeah, and if you want to eliminate 11 labs, there's ways to do it on your own server with your own voice
Yeah, I did
models
that, and
or your
here's
own.
what happened. I use 11 Labs. I use them for commercials, and a lot of the
Yeah.
radio stations do. But I did totally voice generated through 11 Lab shows, and they outperformed a lot of my natural voice shows. And here's where a lot of people don't think about this: create your content from human, and then use the Chat GPT or other AI to augment it. But uh, there are people right now that English is not their primary language, or they can't speak. And this gives them a platform, a tool to do a lot of things, and they can do it reasonably priced.
I love this. Thank you, John. Thank you, Entre. Yeah, this is
Now,
big.
now I was about to say there's a great tool. It's called Vox Trail. It's actually about the company Minstrel, if you heard of the Minstrel models. But Voxtral is an open source voice model that is actually new. Um, but as far as it costs almost 50 times less than 11 Labs because you can self-host it and
Check it
self-host it
out.
on your own
What's the
server.
name of that again? I'll check it out.
Voxtral.
Box trial. I'll check it out. Thanks, man.
But you can check out the like a demo of them using the model with some text to speech models at unmute.sh. If I'm not mistaken, unmute.sh. But you can check it out in real time. And just my experience in using it in the last month, the the AI would literally cough in the middle of a conversation. You're like, is that a real person? Like and and if you look at the benchmark, it way surpasses 11 Labs and I can't think of the other company name, but when it comes to realistic voice inflections, so definitely should check it out.
Thank you so much for that. You see, when you stick to the end, you get the juicy parts. Like when you stick to the end of the the cookies, you're like, yeah, this is the fun spot. Is it Voxtral, which is Voxtral?
Yep, it's about a Minstrel company.
There
And
we go,
they have
Mistral
some,
AI. I
you can
saw
look at
it.
some demos on Hugging Face, but I think unmute.sh used it the best, because when you have a voice model and you're building, applications like yourself as a developer, you need more than just a voice model to pull off 11 Labs. You need the voice clone, you need the TTS and the SST, you need the text to speech and the speech to text, and you need the voice cloning model in the middle, and to compromise my voice to give it to commercial companies. I'm pretty big on that for myself, to live beyond my time. But yeah, just utilizing that, you can privatize it. Of course, if you test it on your Mac, the latency may be slow, but as soon as you cloud your own solution, now you've matched 11 Labs at GPU costs, instead of tokenized APIs. Once you get
All
to
right, all right.
once
So
you get to GPU costs, then you can tokenize your own API using rate limiting tools. Go ahead, Modub.
and my bad, man. I didn't mean to interrupt. The question I was going to ask you is, so we're using Unmute SH to create our own AI voices for Faces Voices channels,
No, so you
or
have the
you talking
host.
about more like James Earl Jones? This is CNN, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, technically, when you have the whole solution, it's not just about voice cloning. Sometimes it's about editing audio. um, because when you're having a language model edit audio, like for example, Pi Audio is a tool that's been out for plus 10 years, and that's a free tool to edit audio right now. But if most people don't know how to use a Python library that's free to edit tools, people's going to create a user interface to sell you the interface. But when it comes to an AI that is a software that is enhanced with the voice of the solution, that AI can actually listen to your podcast, and if it were to actually make edits, it can say when I say or when I do that right there, if it can listen as deep as a human could, it can sit there like a human could, listen to my audio and chop it up and edit out my crutch words to our words and ums and all those things. So sometimes it's not making your actual own voice clone and attaching it to voice assistants, because that's what I use for the maximum use case. But sometimes it's just editing audio. you know
We getting our masterclass today, right,
Yeah,
Mo?
yeah. I'm definitely on this, right? And it's definitely on things to do for this afternoon.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here, John, Andre, Mo, Ishman, Serena, Audrey, Shay. Good to have you as well, Charmaine. Amandeep and Mild, thank you for being here. Ishman, one more time. Are you here? If you're not, I'll reach out to you, because if you had a question, I'd love to answer it. But I also know this app could be glitchy as well. I talked about Tony Robbins earlier, and I was, and I'm glad, John, your number one is Libsyn, because Tony Robbins is on Libsyn. So when you think about these platforms and you think about who's out there and what they're doing, the platform doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's your voice, it's your authenticity, it's your impact, it's your knowledge, it's how you give, who you give, why you give. That's what's going to matter, not the shiny objects, because we can play shiny all day, but when it comes to the bottom line, we're going to really know who's really talking the business. So thank you for being here, everyone, and I hope you've learned something new. And please rewind, replay, relearn, unlearn. And I'm doing the same thing myself, because I know things. The reason why I started my podcast was because I wanted to be on a podcast show, and Gary Vee was on Spotify for Creators. So that's why I started. That's my true reason why I'm on the platform. There's no other reason. I don't give you two, I give you one reason, because that's the only reason. Now I'm moving because I'm scaling. I can't be seeing 151 countries listening to the podcast, and Spotify for Creators has a download limit. of at least 10%. So I know I'm losing a lot of intellectual property information when I can see listen notes applying the same thing, Podchaser applying the same thing. I'm like, yeah, these stats are not statting. The math is not mathing. So I need to make some moves so that I can actually see the right information because I am big on data. So I really appreciate you for all being here as well. Audrey, you raised your hand. I don't know if you wanted to speak. Feel free to come up if you're available, but if not, it might be a glitch. I understand. But thank you all for being here. This is how to choose the best podcast hosting platform in 2025. Yeah, Andre?
I was about to say, you mentioned that RSS feed earlier. That's a powerful thing. You put it to the right use cases. I think I'm not huge in podcasts. I'm doing my own podcast, but I've connected some RSS feeds to some AI, and I think that's the best space in general. I was actually asking about more pre posting, because if I know it can pre post, I know I can drop content around the time that it's coming out, stuff like that. But as far as RSS feed, if y'all get y'all some agent tools, being able to send that podcast and instant, that's an instant motion from every single time you press publish. That thing can go many places. But if you have an AI agent, let's just say that agent just happen to be connected to your Facebook and Instagram and can generate posts based on the podcast. So when you think about having things like N8N, which is a great agent making tool, you can actually intercept incoming RSS feeds, and you can create agents that generate content. You can fully transcribe it if you want to, and put it. I can go in some Google Docs, and then it can, generate different posts, and you can add something what they call human in the loop. Because you don't want the podcast supposed to get transcribed, instantly generate a Facebook and LinkedIn post, and you don't see what the post is until it's too late, right? So you got to put yourself as the human in the loop, and they have a module called basically email me and wait. I think that's what they call it. So now I receive the email post of the Facebook and LinkedIn post, and if I don't like it, I say, oh no, write this over. If I say yes, boom, that's posted. So it goes from upload RSS feed, boom, Google Docs transcription, post generated, email received. Oh, yes, posted. Right? Just that simple.
Oh,
God said, let there be light. God said, let there be light. And he prompted it, engineered all at the same time. So all we're trying to do is get, just like him, get the fastest way we can get from A to Z.
classic. Thank you so much for that insight. I feel like now y'all got the power to move. Now I think the ball is in your court. Now you can shoot those hoops, score those 3 pointers, and let's see how you shoot, before the score line, before the touchdown, before anything that you're going to do as a business is going to show out. You got to show up for yourself. And that's how we're showing up for you. So you can think about these things, try them out. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. The world is waiting for your voice to be heard. And if they can hear your voice, imagine what your voice can do, because your voice has frequency. If you were to put your voice in a sonogram, you could be able to see a lot of things there. So just know that you have a voice and your
Sonogram. Go ahead and elaborate what a sonogram is.
don't start doing this.
But that's actually your digital asset. When people talking about voice cloning, your sonogram is
It's
is
true.
is the
It's
actual a
true.
picture of what your voice looks like.
Exactly. So I'm really giving y'all the sauce. We can see ultrasounds and sonograms, but it's big on frequency. So just think about what you're doing as a business and take it up to the next level by just applying these things and show up or shut up. That's what Mo said. That's what Mo said, y'all. Please, just yeah, get with Mo. So thank you for being here. And Zizi, thank you for being here and stepping in real quick. We're about to jump out of this space, but thank you all for listening. You've been amazing, a great experience today, and I feel like each and every one of us has learned something new. So if you've taken this information, learn it, grow with it, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next episode. God bless you all. Take care for now, and happy Thursday. Now, that was an episode, right? Thank you so much for listening to the We Don't Play podcast show. I'm so glad that you're here. and you are sticking tight with us, especially to the very end. Now, this is season 11, and we're going to do it differently. And I want to make sure that every episode you listen to has something to give back so that you can also learn more after you listen. Now, we don't play podcast shows where you listen, you live, you learn, and you earn. So if you're in any of those positions out of those 4, please make sure that you reach out to me. Send out an email through info@playinc.online. That's info@playinc.online. Or you could go to playinc.online, which is a website, www.playinc.online, playinc.online, and schedule a call so that we can get you on an SEO discovery call to talk about your business and help you with your marketing needs. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope this helped you. See you in the next episode. God bless you. Jesus loves you. Bye.